Life begins at the end of your comfort zone. My independent study was studying exactly that, comfort zones. So, this entire trip, I've been studying how girls have been communicating their comfort levels and how their anxiety levels have been pushed. And I just like to do a little director's cut on all of my vlogs to maybe explain a little bit and give maybe a little background information on some of the things that I found. So when I was doing my research, I came across a couple things that kind of were interesting, and I kept them in the back of my mind when I got ready to leave. So a journalist, last name of Berglund, he found a study that was done in October of 2013, and it said that getting out of your comfort zone basically helps you stay sharp. And he had made an example that his 70-year-old mother had done painting classes, and that it was out of her comfort zone. She didn't know anybody and things like that, and that cognitively it helps no matter what age, and it actually helps with your cognition. So at any age, whether we're in college or 70 years old, it's good to get out of your comfort zone because it helps your brain stay sharp no matter what. So what exactly is a comfort zone though? I talked to a couple of the girls and I did a couple interview questions, and they told me that for the most part, the thing that I discovered was the girls defined uncomfortable behavior and comfort zone behavior different. They described uncomfortable as something that they could get out of. So a situation that they weren't quite okay with, but it was okay because they could escape it if they wanted. Comfort zones, they described that as out of their comfort zone as something that they could not get out of. Something that they were forced to sit through or something that they had no control over. So I thought that was really interesting because I think that that's how a lot of people would separate the two. That when you're uncomfortable, it's very easy to separate yourself from something that makes you uncomfortable. But if you're completely out of your comfort zone, even your environment can't help you. It can't get you out of it. So I thought that was really interesting that most of the girls that I talked to, that's how they would define it, because that's how I would define it as well. When it comes to the levels of comfort, there's three levels. It's almost like a bullseye. The outside bullseye is your panic zone. And you don't want to get that far because when you get that far, you're not productive and you're not learning anything. And there's an article by Tujin that said that if you hit that panic level, then you're not productive at all and you're not learning anything. And so you have to find your own optimal level of comfort. And it's different for everybody, but you have to be sure to understand that at some point you're pushing the boundaries too far for yourself and that you're not going to learn anything and you're just going to be way out of your comfort zone and more focused on the panic inside and the anxiety inside than the experience itself. And then the inside layer, the optimal one you want to be at is the learning stage. That one is where you are experiencing what's around you, but you're not so absorbed in the experience that you're too terrified and overcome with anxiety to understand what's going on. So that's the optimal place you want to be, because if you're not there, or if you are in your panic zone, you're focusing too much on what's around you to learn. But then if you're in the very innermost part of the bullseye, that's your comfort zone. You're not learning at all because you're in your comfort zone. And researchers have actually argued that getting out of your comfort zone helps you learn in general. Which is why study abroad is such a good thing for students, because they're kind of forced to get out of their comfort zone. At times I was forced to get out of my comfort zone, whether I liked it or not. Students can, opt to not do things, but some things are mandatory. So, hiking up and down those big hills to go see the sea lions, out of my comfort zone. I don't do steep hills. But that's part of the experience, and when you push your own boundaries like that, then they say that it's for peak learning experience. So you're opening your world and you're seeing something that you normally wouldn't see, or being forced to learn. But study abroad helps students with that because there's obviously required coursework and things like that. So you are forced to get out of your comfort zone and learn. A lot of the girls that I talked to said that the reason why that they got out of their comfort zone was just for the memory. Things like bungee jumping and things with a lot of adrenaline, that's what they counted as out of their comfort zone, and said that without doing those, they would have regretted it. and they wanted to come back with some crazy stories and some crazy adventures. And personally, I want something to be able to tell my kids about that. Hey, I went to New Zealand and I was the adrenaline capital of the world and I jumped off of stuff. So it's interesting that they didn't say, peer pressure, or they didn't say, I felt like I had to, or things like that. But a lot of them said, well, I was adventurous before I went, or I was adventurous and that's why I went on this trip in general. So that was really interesting that a lot of them already had that sense of adventure and were ready to get out of their comfort zone other than being forced to by an outside force like a professor or something like that. They wanted to get out of their comfort zone. And things like that had happened personally to me, getting out of my comfort zone versus being uncomfortable. Things like that had happened with, confrontation and things like that. I would consider that maybe uncomfortable just because I can get out of the situation. I can walk away, I can take a breather, I can, kind of diffuse the situation. Out of my comfort zone would have been me falling 360 feet in the air when I went canyon swinging. So definitely a huge difference, but they're two totally different things. And if you can understand what makes you uncomfortable and what's out of your comfort zone, it helps you to learn. Because if you're uncomfortable, you're uncomfortable. And you don't want to put yourself in a situation that's uncomfortable that you feel like you need to get out of. But comfort zone, if you can understand the difference between outside of your comfort zone and your comfort level, then you can understand how to learn. And when I asked them if they thought that maybe this had prepared them for any adventures in the future, they all said absolutely, that they learned that it's okay to get out of your comfort zone because that's when optimal experiences happen. And one girl in particular had a great point. She said, quote, "Those past experiences will be a reminder to try the scary and different things. They're usually the most fun and memorable ones you can choose to take part in," which is really great because that's so true. The more crazy things you do and things like that, the more you get out of your comfort zone, the more you're going to remember other than just sitting on the sidelines. So I asked the girls what was a way that they kind of communicated that they were out of their comfort zone, and a lot of them said verbally. I was on a trip with a lot of talkers, which I guess comes with going with a bunch of comm students, but they said a lot of it was verbal, that they were saying, "Oh my gosh, guys, I can't do this. Oh my gosh, guys. Oh my gosh, guys." And, verbally expressing that they were scared and verbally expressing that they were out of their comfort zone. And during moments like that, I would jokingly ask, "Oh, how, what's your comfort level like?" And they would actually honestly answer me. They're like, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm about like an 8. So it was really nice to kind of, in that moment, they kind of check themselves and breathe, and they kind of understand that, oh my gosh, I'm just not getting out of my comfort zone. I can do this. I'm learning. So that was really neat. To see it firsthand and then to hear their answers later on after they sat and reflected about it, that was really cool. So I had a lot of things that helped me learn on this experience, and I know a lot of the girls did as well. So I think it's a great thing to get out of your comfort zone. I think that it absolutely has helped us learn. I have learned a lot of different things just from getting out of my comfort zone. Like, I can do things that I didn't think I could do. I am capable of doing different things and adventure and things like that, which is awesome. So I'm really grateful for that, for Study Abroad teaching me that. And, comfort-wise, it's not all about just the comfort zones that I got out of. There are things that made me uncomfortable. Confrontation, the fact that I didn't have Wi-Fi for a couple days, I couldn't talk to my family, that made me uncomfortable because I could kind of control that. I could find somewhere with Wi-Fi. I could post statuses when I had Wi-Fi saying, "Hey guys, this is where I am. I love you. I miss you. I'll talk to you when I can." So things like that were uncomfortable, but they didn't get me out of my comfort zone, like flying off a canyon. But I have absolutely enjoyed my experience abroad and getting out of my comfort zone, and these researchers have it just right when they say that it's peak learning, because it is. And it'll help you stay sharp. And so to answer some of my own questions that I had, the girls' answer, you know, I absolutely think that this will help me in the future. I absolutely think that I can apply this to my future endeavors and even install it in my kids that no, you may be out of your comfort zone, but think about what you're learning. Stop and think about what you're learning because it could be something really cool. Just I learned my boundaries. I learned where I can push myself to an extent of not being in that panic zone, but being just at that learning zone. So then I can actually go and explore the world and not be scared. So it's been strange not doing my vlogs. I would actually like to continue to do them or journal or something. And, you know, study abroad has taught me things that I didn't think I would enjoy like that. So yeah, in this little director's cut, just thought I would give you guys a little bit of insight on the technical side of things, not just me blabbering about my day, but there is a science to this, and there is research on this, and I even did my own research prior to and when I came back about things like this, which is so cool that there is research out there about this, because people should know. People should know that, you know, there's ways of learning. And it's not just sitting in a classroom, it's going out and doing crazy things. And if anything, I think that something like this would encourage study abroad because researchers say that it's peak learning experience. So when you push your boundaries, you're more likely to learn something, which is really interesting. I feel like maybe we should do that more in our lives just to kind of push ourselves a little bit so we can learn more. But I hope that kind of gives a little bit of an insight to how I've been thinking this through this whole time and maybe a little bit of scientific fact behind it all other than just me jabbering. But I miss Down Under. I miss it a lot. But it's not goodbye. It's see you later because I know there are way more comfort zones that I have to experience and boundaries that I have to push. So I will be back.